these teams have in store for us. Fontt is going to be on the attack side, INTZ on defense.
Yeah, Astro's going to be bringing Twitch to the board. That's in an attempt to try and counter that mirror window, which will almost certainly be going down into the basement if that is where we are heading. It will be the basement. So, yeah, that's going to be in an attempt to counter that mirror window. Now, usually we'll see a Capital brought out instead of a Twitch, but if you can get the Twitch thrown down into that little closet, then it actually is arguably more effective than a Capital Firebolt.
We've seen the Capital pick from many teams here, but it looks as though, I mean, we've seen Astro play Twitch so often, and he's so viable and very powerful on that operator that you basically need to make the Twitch play work for him.
You know, sometimes in a lot of teams you do not pick preference picks in terms of operators as to, okay, I like this guy's gun, so I'm going to play this guy because I want to use his gun. That's usually not allowed at this level of play. But from time to time, you have instances where someone is so proficient with a particular operator that you cannot deny them said proficiency, and you need to harness it and utilize it for your team's success. And that might be the case here with Astro.
Now,
Twitch isn't a bad operator.
Twitch is not a bad operator, especially with how much mirror play we see in the world. But you had mentioned earlier that with the Latin American scene, we're starting to see these mirror windows get placed far off site so that even if they get destroyed, the defenders just fall back. And we see one inside of kitchen looking into dining. I mean, the strategy holds true that basically they are playing further off site using these mirror windows, not necessarily to hold downstairs or be on site. Now, typically we will see the one mirror window inside of that closet facing the laundry. That's almost a guaranteed and a necessity here on Oregon.
As you can see here, Fontt starting to drone out the attic. They will spot out Ninja. Astro's going to be looking for the shot, but Ninja's just going to default down the ladder. Good play there and good read by Ninja to understand he is being pinched by the attackers.
It looks as though Ninja realizes there's some pressure being applied from the back red tower. Some shots going to fly down from above. That's going to be Astro picking up the first kill of the round, and he will finish off Ninja.
Yeah, while it was a good read there from Ninja to fall off the attic, he unfortunately didn't default far enough, and you could attribute that to the construction tunnel being opened up. I think that really cut off his retreat.
GCR knows he got spotted out, and we'll have to see if he rotates back downstairs or heads over towards the west corridors of kitchen. Looks as though, no, he's actually going to stay inside of the main lobby, I want to say. Len is looking towards the back stairwell as Astro works his way down. Drop pad's getting opened up inside of meeting hall, and cameraman's going to back on out of red tower, look towards garage, and then work his way down construction tunnel.
Yeah, so this is a tower construction tunnel take coming out from Fontt right now, and this is more of the meta that we've been seeing from every scene, every region really, on this basement attack. The lobby drop attack has kind of fallen out of preference.
Now here's a good pinch. Astro's going to go for the shots there. He gets a second kill onto Lend. Now he's going to look for the frag here onto FK. He knows FK's right around the corner, goes for the shots, hits him in the shoulder. That's going to do about 30 damage. Swings on and gets a 3K. That third frag is going to make him in favor here. A 5-on-2 now with FK and GCR. Last man alive. Looks as though Astro will be taken down by GCR. However, the final kill comes around the corner, and that's going to be Gohan sweeping up the round here. We are going to have Team Fontt secure round number 1.
What a fantastic round there from Team Fontt. Although it was looking like it might have been a comeback there for INTZ in the latter end of that round, as you saw some nice gunplay there from GCR. Now we are going to have Fontt going on to their first defense round. I think they're going to be going into the kids' dorms for the first one. Now, there are plenty of, it's justifiable to go to kids' dorms or the basement first round. It really is kind of just a preference pick when it comes to Oregon. It used to be the case that both, or pretty much the entire Pro League favored the top floor over the basement. That was before Mira was introduced. After Mira got brought into play, then she became a little bit more of a viability change for the basement. You can see here we are having Fontt open up that generator room almost in its entirety, trying to deny that diffuser plant, as well as just if they have a roamer underneath, they can shoot it from below. shoot anyone coming in Generator. Generator is usually one of the points of contention for the attackers. They're going to be coming in from that armory and that master balcony, straight into master and master closet. And that's one of the more standard attacks we see in this current meta.
Yeah, and we've seen it where even if that closet wall into Generator gets opened up into that middle dorms, that 90-degree angle held by those back stairs is still overly powerful, and you're able to hold down any kind of push inside, especially if you're going to keep smoke on those stairs.
Yeah, if you have somebody on defense, if you have somebody at the top of white stairs and somebody inside of big dorms, then that crossfire basically you can hold out in a 2 versus 5. It's really easy to stay alive from those angles.
Now we are underway here with over 2/3 of the round left to go for in the attack phase. FK is going to be working his way in towards the red tower. First droning out from the lobby side here, getting rid of some cams and realizing, hey, let's push in forward. I don't think there's too much pressure, but he needs to be wary of the men inside of the meeting hall.
Yeah, looks like we are going to have INTZ they're just trying to take this meeting hall attic control. This seems like a very standard attack strategy, even compared to what we were seeing in the last round. It's basically the same. Take from tower, establish control over meeting, and then start your push onto the bomb site. And this time, though, the difference is we are having Team Fontt defending the top floor, not the basement.
GCR's outside by the garden, which is going to be outside of that dining window. He's going to be picking up his drone, moving on forward. Mav, though, uses that deagle, as he should be, and opening up some of the floor there for some holes to potentially C4 up, or at least here for when the rappel happens on those north windows. Flashbang's going to come in from GCR, though. He's looking to challenge Cameraman, and it looks as though Twitch will be taken out here as Astro peeks from above, and FK will drop. Good frag by Astro.
We've seen holes in the floor and this particular bomb site utilized to great effectiveness before, and we can see it happening yet again. INTZ already 2 players down as Gohan takes out Ninja with the gas canister. And Lend with the refrag onto Cameraman with GCR. Another kill onto Mav. It's a 3-on-3 now. 45 seconds to go. The attackers are mounting on the pressure, but Gohan with another kill onto Lend is going to put his team in a nice, comfortable position here.
GCR swings around from the dining hall, and Gohan just barely misses some targets, but he grabs the attention, and GCR swings in and will pick up the headshot. Wonderful frag to make it a 2-on-2 now with 25 seconds to go.
Got to be careful those angles from above. Astro's gonna, yeah.
As you say that, Astro gets the kill there onto GCR. Last minute alive for the attackers is going to be Silence. He's got 15 seconds. He's got to rappel on up, and unfortunately, it's going to put him into a very vulnerable position. Astro hears the rappel. He hops on out, and there's going to be the kill. Astro, I think that's picking up a 3K this round.
Whatever the case be, a well done, well played round to Astro. Really putting in work for his team on that round. We talked about Astro having a 2.0 kill death ratio leading into this match just before we started. And how, you know, normally KD doesn't mean a lot, but 2.0 in Pro League at this level of play, that's pretty significant. Now, we are going to be having INTZ going back onto defense as they were unsuccessful their first attempt. They will be going into the tower instead of the basement this time. Slightly different choice here from INTZ, and we'll see if it plays out for them. We've seen tower used, I think, about 5 times actually in this season, somewhat surprisingly, around there. And it's mostly been unsuccessful, but we have seen it, one successful hold here. I want to say by Bittersweet.
That makes sense.
Or Infamy.
It was either Infamy or Bittersweet.
It was in the Bittersweet Infamy matchup, I believe, and it was interesting to see, but it usually, again, this site usually does not swing in the favor of the defenders. So it's going to be the pressure on INTZ right now, even more so given that they're at a 2-0 deficit to win this round.
What we typically see here from a red tower defense is actually going to be 2, sometimes 3, if not even 4 roamers on the west side of the building, inside of the main portions of the building, and they're going to use all their windows to peek out on and cover the 3 out of the 4 sides of the red tower. The only safe side being the northmost side of that tower, and that also only gives them 2 windows into the site.
That is really bad there for INTZ. Astro managing to get that mirror window on the meeting hall wall open is going to alleviate quite a lot of pressure when Fontt goes for their main push into the tower. They're conscious of Valkyrie playing over in the kids' dorms, simply waiting for the opportunity.
Moringa does spot out the shots coming from Kids Dorms. FK gives away his position, and unfortunately he won't tag down anyone just yet. 2 minutes still here to go in the round number 3. GCR actually goes and exposes himself all the way outside on the connector rooftop between Small Tower and the A bomb site, should it be top floor. However, some shots will go in. Astro not able to hit his target. Ninja will pick up that frag, and we are going to have Bandit getting injured in return. The trade comes out. Gohan picks up the kill, and a 4-on-4 is going to ensue as Gohan is trying to run away from the smoke that's ensuing all around him. Looks like a double kill is going to pop up here. Moringa is going to be falling down. Lendon Silence will be taken out. GCR going to be the last man alive, and we are likely to see this go in Team Fontt's favor. GCR is just going to pull up a little bit of sweep here, moving on forward. Pre-fires the drop hatch of Attic, and no one's there peeking at the moment, but he is giving away his position, so the plant will go down here momentarily by Cameraman. And this is looking like it's going to be a Team Fontt round 3 victory.
Yeah, Team Fontt definitely looking very dominant so far in this matchup. GCR going to try to find this frag onto Mab, but it's not going to matter in the long run. He's got to find 3 after, and yeah, there's Mab with a nice peek up. We'll finish off GCR and lock out that round for Fontt. So, what can we say about that round? Really, all Fontt did was straight up apply pressure to the windows of Tower, take control for the top down to start things off, and then get the defuse plant as they won their fights. And it was good on Fontt as well to get those refrags, apply the pressure after they lost the initial fight. I mean, Astro repelling on that window. He died to the Bandit, but despite that, they didn't lose any of their momentum. Good, well played to Fontt there.
Yeah, it was a good, we'll call it trade or catch-up by Gohan. He had swept on into that top floor, picked up that Bandit after Astro had been taken out. But like that's what we see here from some of the top teams. Out of not just the Latin America scene, but every single pro league that we have here, we constantly see the teams that end up winning are the teams that get the majority of those trades, that get their teams, get their players into position to then refrag should their teammates be taken out.
And that's all down to synergy. And we talked about this earlier, how we've taken a shift in the meta from a heavy strategic sort of meta setup where everybody has a designated role and you have to do this and you have to do that, and there's no deviation, whether it be on attack or defense. And we've taken a shift from that over to understanding the meta, understanding what can be done, what should be done, what ought to be done, and just going ahead and playing a little bit more on the fly, saying, all right, hey, we're going to do this, 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 this. You know, your IGL will give you a basic setup, and then you play from there. You don't try to commit yourself to anything, you know, definitive, because sometimes that can actually really work against you. And you could see Fontt here, they were going up against a tower defense. Now, tower defense, while I'm sure Fontt has dealt with it many times, is not something they deal with every single day. And because of that, they needed to adapt from their norm just ever so slightly, and they needed to do something slightly just different. And they were able to make that happen quite efficiently. They won that round 4 players still alive, almost a perfect round, despite the fact that they were attacking onto an abnormal site.
Now, do you know if we saw inside of the lobby point there? Oh, unfortunately, we're going to see a little disconnect, and we'll be back here. So that's 3-0 at the moment in favor of Team Fontt. One of the things I want to point out there from the defensive setup of Team Fontt was the lobby drop hatch. The lobby drop hatch, the main one that basically oversees the laundry, that was left soft. And is that because there was so much pressure, so much defensive, we'll call it fortification, inside of the meeting hall, that even if they got that drop hatch opened up, there wasn't much that could be done from it?
I would attribute that most likely to just understanding, Team Fontt understanding that, okay, the drop down's, it's going to get opened up. Like, they can't stop it. They can't prevent it. The mute jammer underneath, that can't stop Pabonic from opening up the drop. You know, and a lot of these teams are bringing Thermite and Hibana both on their attacks. Didn't quite see what happened in that particular round where it came to the operator selection, but despite that, it's good to have all your bases covered, and using your reinforcements elsewhere, not that you really need terribly many on the basement hold, is probably more beneficial than just spending it on that drop down, which will always get opened up. And we've seen a couple other teams do something along those lines, just leave the drops they know are going to get opened up unreinforced. And sometimes it can actually slow down the attacker somewhat, because it really actually puts in the back of the mind of the attackers,
like,
is this a trap? Yeah. Are they trying to C4 me when I go to plant my thermite charge? What's happening here? But whatever the case, I mean, there's no real reason to reinforce that drop. It doesn't actually slow much down unless you're playing aggressively and you get the pick on the Hibana or the Thermite early on. Then it's really great if you have that reinforce.
Yeah, on that particular round, they only had Hibana, but they also had a sledge that was brought. I think it was Sledge, Ash, Hibana. I don't think Blackbeard was chosen. There might have been a Thatcher, but long story short, there was only a Hibana, and I was thinking the same thing you were. You were saying, okay, what if they play aggressive? What if they get that Hibana, then get that drop hatch reinforced, and that would have been basically the security of laundry.
Yeah, so I mean, you could obviously do that, but that has to be your plan moving into that round. It's like, hey, we're gonna peek aggressively and try to kill the Hibana, but that almost never works, and it's such a huge risk. Well, what if you kill the Ash instead? Well, then it doesn't change anything. I mean, sure, you got to kill, that's great, but then it's not working in your strategy of leaving the drop, leaving it reinforced.
It's all about the contingencies, and that's what we're going to be seeing Team Fontt working on doing. Now, you had talked about it here, that what we've seen with Red Tower, the Red Tower defense. We'll go back to that, and INTZ trying to hold down that, and the pressure that got applied was basically the fact that it was just pressure from the Red Tower. All they did was just say, okay, we're going to push in. We know there's not many people that are actually there's not many people that are actually going to be in the site, so they're going to be pushing in, and ultimately that's what we saw. Astro unfortunately got taken out, but Gohan was there to get the trade. Is that what we're seeing often from Red Tower holds, is basically just a push in to the site?
Well, I mean, on the Red Tower hold, that's what we saw, obviously, from Fontt, and it worked well for Fontt. We've seen a number of other interpretations of how to attack that. Clear from west to east, same as normal, as if you're attacking a basement hold, and then try to push in through meeting hall. But we've seen that actually flop on its face, because whenever you commit yourself to taking the entire building from one corner to the other corner, you spend so much time that you then inevitably don't have enough to actually push into the bomb site. And I think the successful rounds we've seen in tower defense have been because the attackers try to come from the east. They clear to the west. They clear to the east, and then they push the meeting hall, and then they don't have enough time to go into the tower itself. And yeah, I think it was just that round, and I think the right way to attack tower, what we saw Fontt clearly display, was just, hey, repel into the tower windows, come into the tower as a team, and now you have control. Congratulations. Well done.
One of the things out of all the Red Tower defenses we've seen, one of the things that maybe we just haven't seen much of, or haven't gotten a chance through the different engagements, I haven't seen much of a, we'll call it, bottom-top approach in Red Tower. I mean, it seems as though the construction push, getting into blue, opening up box, and then potentially just taking over the basement, working your way up the stairs, might be some quote-unquote easier or / unexpected avenue to take control of that bottom floor.
Well, you know,
what would be preventing that?
So when I'm playing ranked, or if I'm playing just anything outside of competition, and for whatever reason on Oregon the enemy team is defending the tower, then yeah, no, more often than not, I'll just rush my way in through construction tunnel, up the stairs, and I'll catch 3 people off guard and get a really easy 3K and then win the round. But when it comes to this level of play, you have to imagine there's barbed wire on those bottom stairs. There's at least one person in a position to watch it. And when you're coming up from that basement through those stairs, you're bottlenecking yourself. You're shoving yourself into a death lane filled with barbed wire and guns being pointed at it. And it's dangerous.
Yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we are having some technical difficulties with INTZ trying to get back in. So we are going to cut to a short 3-minute break. So please stick around with us, and we'll be back with more of this Best of 3 series here on Oregon. Please stick around. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're here for the sixth week of the Latin American Pro League scene here for Rainbow Six Siege. It is playoff day. It is LAN decision day for the Latin American team. We are underway with our first game in this first best-of-3 series. It's going to be between Team Fontt, formerly known as Santos Dexterity, and INTZ Gaming, who had to work their way up through the Group B brackets and are here with us to take on Team Fontt. Now, previously what happened before the break, we had a 3-0 lead in favor of Team Fontt. We're going to get underway with round number 4 here momentarily. The teams are all set, and we are going to get it underway in a moment.
Yeah, no, INTZ has been struggling to get their feet on the ground here on Oregon, and Fontt has been feeling very strong overall.
Yes.
A lot of these rounds have been pretty decisive, and INTZ really needs to step it up here. I think they're going to be on attack when we get back into the match. They're going to be attacking into a basement, I believe it was, and that's going to be it's a difficult prospect to successfully attack that basement site. Now, interestingly, INTZ kind of gave a way around, I have to say, with trying to defend that tower. That was a little bit of a mistake there.
I agree with you right there, because typically what we've seen is if you fail a bomb site, you go back and try it at least once more. Here,
well,
they're going to something which is off standard, and it's a very quote-unquote difficult site to hold. More difficult than some of the other sites, arguably. You
don't have to defend the same bomb site to try and, you know, hammer it out. That is something we have seen teams do. But like, you could go to the top floor instead of the basement. You have options. You don't have to force out a tower. I like that INTZ was trying to give us something different, but in this instance, I don't think it was the right call. I think they need to stick to their fundamentals in order to play against Fontt, because Fontt has what we talked about earlier, those core fundamental and just high skill level play that is going to give them an edge when they're talking about just going up against an unpredictable strategy.
Yep. Now we are going to file into the game right now. It's time to get underway with round number 4. Again, round number 4 is going to have INTZ on attack, and Fontt is going to be on defense. So here we go. Basement defense is where it's going to be yet again. And I'm expecting Fontt not to change up too much from their defensive strategy, which we saw moments ago.
No, sir. It's likely to be very similar. Now, Fontt is going to be very confident here. They've got the lead at 3-0, as you can see, and that's got to put you in a position where you're like, okay, well, we can play a little bit aggressive. We can go for those kills. You remember we talked about before the break how maybe they're leaving the drop down to lobby unreinforced so that they can get the early pick onto Habana. Maybe they're betting on that. Maybe that is actually what Fontt is trying to plan. And that would be really cool to see these just a spontaneous aggressive push out of the building from the defenders to try and hunt down that Habana early on.
We're going to see cameraman. That's going to be the mirror inside of the middle hall. And
he destroyed one of his Jaegers, but I like the angle he's opening up.
Little spot here. I like it too. I like it too. Not many. This is one of those spots that isn't going to provide too much. We'll call it protection.
Well, it offer you zero protection.
Zero protection, but it will give you the upper hand because it's not a typical spot scene. It's one of those, hey, if I don't get droned out, this is going to be a very nice position to get the upper hand. I
remember back at the beginning of the game, you could use, you could still do melee holes in walls and catch people off guard. Well, now it's a little bit of evolved. You have to use bullet holes to try and catch people off guard, and more importantly, bullet holes in benches, not even on walls. And it will be holding up the attack here. FK trying to pressure his way into the tower is going to be met by that Astro, and I believe that was Gohan playing inside of Meeting Hall. He's just trying to get a pick here. If he can kill either of the defenders playing inside Meeting Hall from that angle, he will put his team in a great position to then push into the red tower.
Now, I like what we just saw there on the main staircase leading down. With this camera right here, which Gohan is looking at, they've opened up the wall vertically, not enough to actually have someone rush their way through, but enough that they can toss out grenades, just get a line of sight, get a crossfire if they needed. And that's one of the things that I like seeing, a little adaptation there that we haven't seen too much of.
Yeah, Fontt definitely does seem to have a good grasp on their hold here. It's worth noting also they are very dedicated to this roam hold, where they play inside the meeting hall, but they actually, as I say that, default back into the bomb site. Interesting move there by Fontt. They have successfully waited 2 minutes, and I have to imagine that that was purely a timed call there. All right, guys, we've wasted 2 minutes on the clock. This is where we go back to the bomb site, and we try to hold out for the last remaining minute of this round.
Now we are going to have Fontt bunkered down here between A and B. Box looks like it's going to be given up at the moment. We're going to see some attackers from INTZ force their way in there, as the majority of them is looking their way in the main lobby, coming down the front stairs. Leading the forefront there is going to be the Thatcher. That looks like it's going to be Lend here. He's going to go for a shot. Astro's going to be ready for it. Goes for a headshot, misses his target. Gohan tosses up a C4, tags it down. What a kill there, fragging out one onto Lend. 4 on 5 now, 30 seconds left to go. Gohan is holding down here inside of the site. He's in the launching machine. He's going to get rid of all 6 charges. The wall will still stay intact. Astro's going to get an opportunity to place down, or sorry, Moringa gets an opportunity potentially to place down a battery charge. Let's see there. Flashbang is going to come in from Box. They've rotated over. GCR is going to fall. Cameraman gets injured in the process. And Silence with about 1 health left to go. He's going to try to get this diffuser planted. Bandit comes swinging around with a kill as GCR takes a trade onto Gohan Moringa. Picks up a frag of his own, and GCR gets another kill here with the pistol down on Moringa. And defense is going to win this one. That is going to be Team Fontt securing round 4. They now go up onto match point after the diffuser just did not get planted in time.
Apart from the slight delay so far we've had in this match, it's been entirely one-sided and very quick. Now that round did come down to the very last second, but despite that fact, we haven't spent much time here on Oregon so far today. Fontt seemingly very dominant here in this matchup. INTZ unable to get a grasp of this situation.
Yes, and this was not their pick. No, this was their pick. This was their pick. The next map was was INTZ's pick. I believe so. Team Fontt had chosen Oregon. INTZ had chosen Bank. No, so they had chosen Bank is going to be our final map. Chalet was our second map, which INTZ had chosen.
And whatever the case be, it's going to be all pressure now on INTZ to get this round with Rin on the board, and then 3 subsequent rounds right after. They've got a long road ahead of them to make the comeback happen on Oregon.
They do, and we've seen it happen before, not often. We've seen some minor comebacks, especially talking about last night in the North American scene. One of the teams was down 4-0. We saw them come back 4-2,
well,
but just couldn't hold it off.
From an 0-4 deficit, I think I've seen a comeback from an 0-4 deficit about once or twice in the Pro League.
Yes.
In my caster career, in the earlier season, we probably saw it a couple more times. I'm talking about Season 1, Season 2 of Year 1, when I was playing, not casting, but. As far as casting goes, I've probably seen 1 or 2.
Yeah, the only one I can think of in the past 3 seasons has been the Continuum and Elevate game on the Cafe.
Yeah.
And we do have Astro trying to look for a Valkyrie camera. Typically, we'll see one on top of the shack over there by the garden.
That's a fantastic match as well.
Yes.
Now, Team Fontt, they are starting themselves again, similar to how they have done in the past, taking that red tower, positioning themselves to pushing through the construction tunnel. We are going to have INTZ with a similar setup to what we were seeing from Fontt last round, whereby they have a lot of focus on that meeting hall, trying to roam for as long as they possibly can, hold out the meeting hall, and try to get a couple kills or just delay for an extended period of time. And it's going to be a direct challenge here. Ninja onto Astro. Astro's going to drone this out before he chooses to attack the angle, which is going to give him a leg up against Ninja.
Now, last time we saw this, Ninja did get droned out. He had to default back down onto the meeting hall. He ended up getting refragged and picked off by Astro. But Mav going ham over here, picks up a headshot onto FK, and then frags out GCR, which is a 5-on-3 now. Team Fontt looking like they're going to walk away in a flawless match here. 5-0. They just need to pick off Ninja, Len, and Silence.
So it is worth talking about the fact that Mav just walked into Meeting Hall via the main Meeting Hall door that 2 of the defenders which died to him were staring at. I'm not sure what happened there, but that's all pressure on INTZ there.
And there is going to be Len falling to Gohan's headshot. That's going to be the Ash swinging on in. Last 2 alive going to be Ninja and Silence. Now, Ninja has the opportunity to try to get this flank on, but it's going to be up to, it's going to be up to Silence to hold it off, and he just cannot. So Ninja needs to go buck wild. It's going to be the round of a lifetime, but it will not happen as Moringa comes in firing hot, and we will have the shots land. Team Fontt's going to win this 5-0. What a, we'll call it quick and decisive match here for Team Fontt.
So it's weird to talk about because that map wasn't decided necessarily strategically or anything like that. It was straight up just Fontt winning all of their fights. I mean, that last round, we saw the Sledge waltz into meeting hall. We had a
Let's
Valkyrie on stage, and then I believe it was a Jaeger deeper in the meeting hall, and he just killed both of them. And that's the exact angle these two players are looking at. That's their job to hold, is that one doorway. And he just kind of walked on through and won that fight. And that is, yes, excellent play to Mav. Excellent play to Mav. Good job on him to be able to win that fight. But also, that's on INTZ.
There's some lapse of either communication, lapse of judgment, lapse of line of sight, whatever it may be. But there is definitely going to be some opportunities for INTZ to go back and re-look at that.
Yeah.
But our second map of the evening between these two teams is going to be on Chalet. Now, as you saw, we did have to reform here due to the earlier recreation of the lobby. So we are just going to spend another minute here referring him back, talking about what just happened. We might have some highlights for you on this previous match. We'll have to see if we do. But what actually went down in this 5-0 was, I think, basically just flat out fundamentals. Team Fontt outshining their opponents.
And we talked about the play style of these two teams before the match started. Fontt is one of those teams that is just, again, fundamentals, top of the game. Definitely in the top brass of all of the different teams from all the different pro leagues. Yep. They are up there. More importantly, they don't commit themselves to a hard strategy whereby they're like, okay, we're going to do the same thing over and over again. They can adapt. They can adjust to what they see their opponents bring to the table. Now, going up against a team like INTZ, who is a strategic team, and more importantly, they're the sort of strategic team that does try to bring us to different bomb sites. Cough, cough, Red Tower. It's gonna work against INTZ in that instance. The best thing that INTZ can do is try to consolidate, bring it down into, try to, focus on their core fundamentals and go to those more common bomb sites, because they're gonna be able to actually try and fight against the grind that Fontt has been working up for so long.
Yeah, I feel like INTZ could, instead of trying to go to different bomb sites, which, I mean, we saw them go to Red Tower, like you had said, go back to one of the core bomb sites and try to change up how they're going to hold that site. I feel like there's still a lot of unique variations. We've seen teams like Bittersweet, teams like Infamy try to bring into the scene, and I hope and I want to see INTZ try to do that. Having those core bomb sites at your arsenal or in your playbook, but changing up how you're going to be playing them is, I think, in favor of INTZ. They just need to work on that as opposed to go to a different bomb site and create a brand new playbook altogether.
It used to be that there were two different types of teams. There were three, but there were two prominent types of teams. There were the teams that played heavy strategy and tried to go just for the same bomb sites every time, the predictable ones. Yep. And then there were the teams that played heavy strategy, but then also went for the random bomb sites like Tower. And since then, we've seen a little bit of a phasing out of those just core bomb sites, and everyone's shifting over to, hey, we need to be able to do the weird bomb sites if we're going to be a heavy strat team. And INTZ is obviously just a little bit behind the curve when it comes to being on top of those different bomb sites.
Now, I did misspeak earlier. Bank is going to be our second map. It's not Chalet. Bank is our second map. So let's head on in as the teams are ready. We're filing in, and we're going to be witnessing some of the operator selection picks here.
So we actually did have a disconnect in the load-in, so we will be actually waiting just a little bit longer. Apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. We will get right into the match as soon as we possibly can. But yes, Bank. Let's talk about Bank. So
let's talk about Bank.
Bank is very much different from Oregon. Oregon's a little bit more constricted, and it forces the defenders to play in a more predictable manner, we could say. Whereas Bank is huge. It's one of the biggest maps in the Pro League, if not the biggest map in the Pro League. And it offers the defenders a lot of maneuverability. And that is why, we talked about this earlier, that is why we see often we see a Jackal brought to the field on this particular map, because it can allow the attackers to clear out these roamers without actually spending the time to drone every single part of the map.
So here we are, teams are ready, and we are getting into the operator selection. Let's head into the game as Team Fontt is going to be starting on attack. Team INTZ is going to be on defense.
So we're not actually ready, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be waiting until everybody gets unloaded in. And then once we have everybody ready, we'll let you know.
So here we are. Bank is up and running, ready to get going. And the bomb site looks like it's going to be downstairs in the basement. There it is.
Yeah, so basement defense first on Bank is very predictable on this particular map. I mean, we've seen a couple different times. I think it was Bittersweet GG brought us to the customs first or something along those lines.
Yep.
They opted to defend the top floor bomb sites instead of, well, not top floor, the middle floor bomb sites instead of this basement floor. But INTZ will be doing the more predictable play here, as we were hoping they would, and bringing it down into the basement. So we will be having, it seems, a remake, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for the inconvenience and the wait. We'll try to get this going as soon as possible. We'll see what our admins decide here in just a second.
Yep. So as we just saw there, the bottom basement hold was coming out from INTZ, and that, like I said, is the expected bomb site. We've seen some teams vary off of that, but very few teams have decided to take their first bomb site elsewhere. One of the things, like you mentioned, Bank is very different from Oregon. The size is one, but also the fact that 3 out of the 4 bomb sites are seen as quite viable. We've now, with the introduction of Mira and trying to see different strategies in the open area, I feel like that's come into the mix a little bit more frequently than we have seen in previous seasons.
I really do like a lot of the play that, on that note, I really do like a lot of the play we've been seeing on that, on open area. Open area is one of those bomb sites that was always kind of seen as equal to Archives, and I feel like you talked about with the Mira addition, in Archives, there's some interesting places you could put the Mira, but not like we're going to win the round because of this Mira window sort of places you could put the Mira. On open area, on the other hand, there are some really interesting places, like, for example, on that wall that faces towards Printer, towards the alley window, towards alley, that is going to give you a lot of visibility, not only to the alley window, but also if you open up the wall to the left of that Mira window, or just put 2 Mira windows, one on each wall, next to each other, then that's going to give you control over Printer and Cafeteria, which is just basically half of the control you need kind of cut out immediately. Now, of course, there are ways for the attackers to counter that. Going above and opening up in stock will give you full visibility of those 2 Mira windows. But, you know, it's still a really nice addition, and it's cool to see Mira seeing more, I'd say, useful play on this map. In the basement, in Archives, both, she's not the most essential operator, whereas in contrast to, like, Oregon, you have to have Mira when you're defending the basement of Oregon. You just have to.
We've seen, I want to say, downstairs, when the bomb site has been either basement, tellers and Archives, or even an open area, we've seen teams, especially in the Latin American scene, hold that open area as a rotational pivot point. And so Mira has been we'll call it a presence inside of there, or at least the Mira windows have been a presence inside of the open area, regardless of if any of those 3 bomb sites are chosen. So that kitchen and that open area is kind of a very prominent point where we're going to see a lot of engagement, most likely. I mean, I remember seeing a Bandit-Jaeger combination coming out, I think it was from Nox Gaming, during week number 1, where they were trying to hold down the fort there, even though the bomb site was downstairs. So definitely some variations, including in that open area. We'll have to see how that unfolds. We are still waiting for a few more members from INTZ to get back into the lobby here before we continue on. With Bank, I mean, I don't necessarily expect to see, even with INTZ trying to throw in the red tower defense on Oregon, I don't think we're going to go upstairs at all. That's not one that we've seen ever, except for Nox trying once, and they were oddly enough successful at it.
I don't know. That was the only round that they won on defense. The only one, and it was in the CEO office. For those of you who don't know how Bank works, CEO office is widely considered to be totally not viable because there are way too many angles that the attackers can establish on the defenders with no effort at all. They can walk out of spawn, up a staircase on the top of a garage, and then they have full control over your bomb site. I mean, even a castle can't stop it because you can open it with a glass.
Yeah. Can't even stop it. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to head to another short 3-minute break, and unfortunately we are having some more technical difficulties with INTZ trying to connect to the lobby. So please bear with us. We'll be back in a few short moments, so stick around. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, here. Still waiting for some more players to get in. But while we do that, let's talk a little bit more about Bank. And we know a lot about the basement bomb site. We know a lot about how that is the preferred bomb site, how it's typically set up, how the majority of the teams push in. They'll open up all the drop heads into the side of the open area, inside a server, push their way in through server. Let's talk about the two other, we'll call them secondary bomb sites, inside of Tellers and Archives and the open area. Now, we talked previously before the break about how the one of the new ways to hold onto either of those sites has been get inside of open area, use some mirror windows. Walk us through how a defense, the standard defense for holding that, or how it's set up, we'll say.
How we're going to set up an open area defense? Okay.
Yeah.
You're usually going to put a double mirror window onto that wall that faces towards the cafeteria and the printer room. Then you're going to apply a lot of pressure, or you might just put one. You can put a single one and actually put it in between those walls. That will give you the same amount of visibility, and honestly, I think that's probably the better bet. Yeah. And you save that second mirror window. You can use it in a number of different ways. You can put it facing towards the square stairs in cafeteria, but then if you use, then you might actually not want to hold inside cafeteria. You might want to play it exclusively from open area. Now, if you're doing that, then you need to apply a lot of emphasis, and actually in general for this entire hold as a defender, you really do need to apply a lot of emphasis to that top floor. You need to maintain control over CEO, and it sounds weird because we talked about earlier how CEO isn't a viable bomb site, but if you're doing it as a roam game, you can fall off, thereby making it if an attacker comes to garage to try and counter you, they're wasting their time. So you need to apply a lot of control over to CEO. Maybe that's where you're going to want to put your second mirror window, somewhere around storage, maybe towards a meeting room. There's a couple different options where it really comes down to that second mirror, but it's all up to what your team feels is most necessary. And that's the sort of thing that you'll feel out when you're doing scrims against other teams in your region, is where the pressure is coming from and where that mirror window will need to find itself. And then, yeah, anyway, it really just comes down to wasting as much time on the top floor, having one of the drop downs unreinforced and open so that you can rotate back safely. Usually we'll see, I think it's mostly been the stock drop down, or the, sorry, not the stock, the storage drop down. And that storage drop down then it falls into small office, and small office is not super a lot of control for the attackers.
It's oftentimes seen as like a kill box sometimes.
Yeah.
If it's not opened up into archives, it's basically a kill box.
The attackers will open up the wall towards cafeteria, or sorry, the defenders will open up the wall towards cafeteria, place someone in that cafeteria corner, and then they'll have full visibility on you as you drop as an attacker. It's super dangerous, especially considering there's way less smoke in the game now after Thermite and Ash don't have their smoke grenades anymore. However, Jackal does have smoke grenades, so that might be something that is a direct counter to that. Of course, this is all very situational. There's a lot of different ways to set up open area, and the gist is bring a mirror. Make sure you have that mirror facing printer, cafeteria, and keep a lot of control of the top floor as long as you possibly can before you have to default back into the site.
I feel like if that's the goal of an office or open area hold, is to waste or utilize as much time as possible as a defense team top floor, I feel like that's going to be in favor of Fontt, due to the fact of what we saw there on Meeting Hall in Oregon. All the defenders that were topside stayed alive, wasted 2 minutes, fell back to site, and just won the round over time.
It's also important to know that they had well-timed rotations back into the site. We saw Fontt come back into their bomb sites at about 1 minute, 10 seconds on one of their basement defenses, instead of trying to force out a hold of the top floor, which they could have easily done, arguably, but it was calculated, and it ended up resulting in them winning that round.
Agreed. And I mean, that is what we've talked about previously, is the calculation, the communication, and the synergy. Now, we do have everyone in lobby. We're going to get underway here momentarily. We are just waiting for the map to load and operators to get selected. But before we do that, though, before we get into it and show you the rest of the game, we want to point out that this is the second map of this best-of-3 series. The winner moves on to LAN, and the loser, unfortunately, will have to sit the sideline until next season. However, with that, they're still going to play that third, fourth decider match, a third and fourth place decider match, because not only is it potentially a seeding difference to get into LAN if one of the first and second place teams don't get in, but the prize money is also there. Prize money. So we are going to head into the game right now, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is round number 1 here on Bank, and we're going to be seeing INTZ start on defense, Team Fontt start on attack.
No big surprises coming out from operator selection here for either of these teams. You could say Doc is a little bit different than what we're used to seeing, especially in the current meta, what with 3 armors being somewhat phased out. But with the lack of a Mira being necessary, and we talked about this before the map actually started, on Bank, Mira is not essential, especially on the basement hold. Because of that, you can bring a different 3 armor if you so choose. And in this case, they have opted to bring Lend on Doc. And I think that's actually a good pick there. You can see Len's going to be playing all the way from the B bomb site. Or sorry, yeah, all the way from the B bomb site. Gonna be looking towards the A bomb site. From that angle, he can actually open up 2 holes in the red hallway walls and then establish a nice line of sight onto the attack as they come through that server doorway.
Ooh, a wonderful pick there. That's going to be from Gohan onto FK. He's here on the north windows, facing into the hallway of CEO. You see him rappelling in right there. Wonderful kill after getting some intel from the rest of his team.
Okay, so normally when you have a roamer on that top floor of a basement defense here, that roamer needs to waste at least a minute or a minute and a half.
I'd say a minimum of a minute.
Yeah. And he optimally will also get a kill, or at least make it back to site alive. Now, in this instance, that roamer wasted 0 time. He didn't waste any time at all. He got no kills, and he did not make it back to the site. That is really bad for INTZ, and really good for Fontt. And it's curious that that happened. Yes, it was the droning work, some good droning work from Fontt, but more importantly, it was just the Fontt attackers. Okay, we're going to immediately rappel up onto this window and open it up and see what we can see.
Now, I do like this angle here from GCR. He's actually inside of the elevator, looking up towards the elevator hallway on first floor. Now, he won't necessarily get a huge opportunity to get someone, but
when at the man disadvantage as a defender, you need to try and challenge these slightly less than useful angles in an attempt to get yourself back into even man count. You got to do anything you can, because when it comes to the attackers 5-on-4 pushing into the site, they're going to have a distinct advantage in the ability to just refrag you out. They get 1 kill, they lose, or even if they don't, even if they lose the first guy, they're going to be able to get the next kill, and you just keep that train going until their team wins.
Now we do see some of the barbed wire getting destroyed. We hear it there. Cameraman's going to try to open up the far wall of lockers, or sorry, of servers, and it looks as though he'll get gassed out, so he's going to rotate back over and then open up the right side wall, but he sees that, hey, it's bandited. Ash gets the call to open it up. There we go. Now this plant is very standard. What he's going to do is he's going to go in, turn around, face his back towards the A bomb site, and then actually plant down. We see it here right now. He's going to go for this plant. Now the gas grenade needs to come out. He's trying to bait it out.
He's faking it out, but the gas grenades aren't actually coming right now. Oh, here's the first one, I think?
No, we've already seen 1 or 2, but yes, there's another one. It's actually a little far, so Cameraman could go in and get this plant down. Now there's only 2 members left here from INTZ. It's GCR and Len. GCR is going to get removed. Len's last man alive is there. He's going to go for the pick onto Astro. Will take him down for the trade. However, the pistol shots come out, and Ash comes swooping in from the B site, moves in, and then takes the kill down onto Len. We're going to have round 1 go in favor of Fontt.
And seemingly a continuation of Oregon here, reflected onto Bank, and that we have Fontt seeming very dominant here over INTZ.
Now it looks as though we are going to go down into the same spot. No, actually, wait a minute. This is saying archives here, if I can read Portuguese correctly.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting choice there for Fontt if we're opting to go into not the basement. Although it stands to reason. In the past, Team Fontt has been a little bit more focused on their maneuverability and their options as when it comes to the attack or the defense. Now, in this instance, we will have Fontt have just that. They are in archives. They can go into the basement as roam. They can go into the top floor as a roam. They can do whatever it is they want to. Whereas when you're defending that basement, a lot of the time we see it be a case that the defenders need to simply anchor onto the bomb site, and that is so constricting. And I don't think that's the gameplay that Fontt really wants to have here.
Now, like you had said, and we had talked about earlier before we got back underway with this map, is having this top floor control is going to allow them, or is what they need to do if they want to keep the bomb site secure and be able to hold off the attacking squad. And that is what I think Fontt is going for here. They need to hold on to this top floor, not necessarily for the entire round, but the majority of it.
Yep. I mean, you can hold archives without maintaining that top floor control. It just means that if you choose not to, as a defender, you got to worry about if the attackers have a buck or a sledge. In this instance, we do have a sledge on the attacking team. And if INTZ is able to take control over that CEO, it's going to be a lot of vertical pressure. But to elaborate on that, Fontt has got such a heavy roam game, it might not actually matter. Because having all these players off the site, they're just going to be itching for a retake. INTZ going to be struggling to trying to find the right... I think they really were a little bit bamboozled by the fact that they're attacking onto an archives to start things out here. And they might be forcing them to debate their strategy leading into the round. Now, these extra 30 seconds of thinking about where they're going to be attacking is going to play a huge role in this attack, in that it slows it quite a lot down.
Keeping an eye here, Fontt is still keeping an eye here. We have Astro working his way. He was looking at the patio entrance point into the east skylight lobby. Now this is also where Ninja's located. He's going to go down the stairs, and Gohan is there to pick up the frag. You've got GCR working his way forward now, and he looks like he's going to be taken out of commission by Astro. No, that is FK getting taken out. Now Silence is still trying to push in. GCR still at this top skylight. Lend is right underneath, trying to help hold down the main floor. From behind, Silence gets tagged in the back. Moringa look like he can pop on out with his SMG, or the FMG9. We'll say the SMG11. Their shotgun comes out of the way. Gohan picks up a kill with the MP7, and that is going to be round number 2, going in favor of Fontt.
And it seems somewhat like a horror story here for INTZ. Fontt appearing out of nowhere, just forcing out these frags. I mean, we saw that smoke come from stock and just peek aggressively onto the thermite from behind. That means that there's no one from INTZ covering stock room. On a square stairs push, that is a huge risk. And in this instance, it definitely played to the favor of Fontt and against INTZ. Then, more importantly, when we had INTZ pushing into the top of square stairs, they just got picked off one by one from Fontt. Fontt just looking up the stairs and taking those fights. Now, normally, the attackers would have a huge advantage in that engagement. But whatever the case be here, Fontt is managing to come out on top in situations that they shouldn't.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to put words in, or put rounds ahead of rounds here, but if Fontt continues on the avenue that they are right now with the momentum and the way that they're playing, we could see this go into a 10-0.
Well,
and, I mean,
when I said earlier it seems like a horror story for INTZ, what I meant by that is INTZ is playing scared right now.
Yes.
The momentum is already so much in the favor of Fontt. It's quite clear to see. The adaptation and the ability to maneuver away from their common attacks for INTZ just doesn't seem to be there. Now, although this strategy, I like this. This might be them trying to step it up here. Going for a little bit of a roam game on this basement hold. We will have INTZ playing aggressively into that small office and archives. I love those rotation holes. It's not going to slow down the attack from Fontt, though. Fontt has already progressed their way into stock, and they're going to be taking control of this main hallway of the top floor. That's already a good portion of the roam game potential cut off for INTZ. However, majority of the INTZ focus is, again, on this middle floor. And they are going to be putting a lot of pressure onto open area.
I feel as though that if Fontt had droned out, or if they gather a little bit more information as to who's where and how many roamers there are and where they're located, we could have seen an actual push in from garage, kind of a quick rush, if you will, almost pushing their way into locker, clearing that out, and then basically just taking almost entire control of that basement floor.
Man, we haven't seen a dedicated garage take since Season 1. That's been so very long. But it would be really cool to see it happen.
I think part of that is because around Season 2 timeframe is when the update came where the glass of vehicles started getting destroyed.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is, first kill of the round is going to come
Second
out. Wow.
Third kill here.
All these concurrent kills from Fontt, and now INTZ, as if by magic, have lost their entire roam game. And Fontt is going to be pushing straight into the site. It's round over. Fontt just absolutely decimating in that round.
That is going to be a flawless round leading to, we are now 2 rounds away from a flawless 10-0 series.
In the span of a second, Fontt took out every single one of INTZ roamers. And then not 1, not 2, but 3 seconds later, they took out the 2 remaining anchors from INTZ.
You know, that reminds me of old school shooter games where you would have a squad that you basically line up. You say, okay, you're going to hit this target, you're going to hit this target, you're going to hit this target, I'm going to hit this one. And then instantly at the sound of a timer, clock of the timer there, you're going to say shoot, and all 4 go down right away.
You mean like Wildlands?
Yes, basically like that. Like Wildlands, like some other previous games, titles I won't mention, but basically you're just saying at the snap of a finger, shoot, all 4 targets down, all 5 targets, whatever it may be. And that's what it just looked like there.
That is a good comparison. I mean, we've got, let's take a look at the scoreboard, ladies and gentlemen, and yeah, Fontt's whatever, but let's take a look at INTZ. We have 1 kill on the INTZ board across 3 rounds for Lent.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about. INTZ is not a bad team. Let's go ahead and touch on this real quick. INTZ is actually quite a good team. They have made their way to playoffs here. They fought hard to get here. They beat out Pain to get here. And they are a strong team. But whatever, I don't know what's going through INTZ's head today, they are playing scared. It is clear as day.
It's a little bit of a Cinderella story, very similar to how we saw Elevate and Team Vitality in the grand finals of the 6 Invitational. I mean, I know that's a sore subject possibly for Team Vitality for those that might be watching, but at the same time, this is kind of what's happened. INTZ, being a very good team, just like Team Vitality, is now
they were just playing scared.
Finding themselves off foot.
Yeah, Elevate definitely put up a dominating performance in that match, but it was still, yeah, you could attribute a lot of it just to Elevate kind of, or sorry, Vitality just kind of being like, oh, well, we don't really know what to do here in this situation.
I mean, it could also be that these two teams, Fontt and INTZ, know each other so well that Fontt is just able to counter-strat everything that INTZ is doing. And on top of that, because they're counter-stratting and knowing how the progression of the site is going to go, that they're going to win their engagements more times than not.
Okay, yeah, so, but we do have INTZ clearing out for the roamers, and in contrast to what we had Fontt doing earlier, there's a very slow clear coming out. And Gohan actually, I think, has managed to completely bypass this roam clear. He's actually alive inside of storage right now. INTZ is not aware of this. That's going to give Gohan a great opportunity later in the round to get the flank on whenever it is INTZ positions themselves to take into either of the bomb sites.
Now,
this is very dangerous here for INTZ. Uh-oh.
Gohan might be getting a kill here onto, that is Silence. His right side is going to be flanked by FK, and Silence is going to be on his left. He's just going to wait for that perfect opportunity, waiting for some sound cues, because there's not much of a camera sense up here, unless Mav was able to tuck the camera away.
He's got to be wary of his laser sight giving him away.
Oh, he got one. He goes for another. He's a little closer. He tags the second kill. Gohan making great use of being undetected. He's now going to drop most likely down into the middle dorms or middle offices, possibly coming up behind Lens. GCR tags that kill to Gohan. That's going to be the trade. However, the damage has been done. Silence and FK have been taken off the board, and that is Gohan walking away with a smile.
Yeah, and he really should have only got that 1 kill. The refrag not coming out by that Habana is detrimental here for INTZ.
Now we are going to have Astro, who is on the top floor, or sorry, main floor, looking in towards Skylight server stairs. I believe we saw Len making his way around. The shots from Cameraman, though, that will go onto Ninja. He's going to get injured, and GCR takes his drone over towards the red vault area. GCR working his way down the staircase here. He's looking in towards Red Hall, won't see anybody. Moves his drone back, and from server, we are going to see Len drop on in, and looks as though Ninja will have to bleed out for the moment. Gas grenades coming on through. GCR is going to get the blind shot onto Moringa and then get traded down over here. And I believe that was going to be in the final round. Final kills from Cameraman will finish off the round. That's going to be round number 4, going in favor of Team Fontt. They are now 1 round away from a total annihilation shutdown in a 10-0 fashion and taking that first land spot from the Latin American Pro League.
I really feel bad about talking about it, but the reason INTZ lost that round is just completely devoid of coordination. There was not a thorough drone game going out. They did not try to establish control over all of the roamers at the top floor before pushing their way into the middle floor and then later the bottom floor, and that's why Gohan was allowed to run outside of storage and get that double kill. After that, I mean, they lost their Habana early on to Gohan, so they didn't have the ability to open up the majority of the important drop downs into the basement, and because of that, they were forced to come in through abnormal lanes 1 by 1, and they could have just tried to hop breach something, but no, the last 3 of them just, again, 1 by 1 came in through their own individual lanes and got picked off.
Yeah, INTZ's INTZ's attack and defense right now is just deteriorating. We are not...
This is not the INTZ that we're used to seeing.
It's definitely not, and I want to say there's going to need to be some kind of Hail Mary, some kind of just instant turnaround for INTZ to even get a grasp at trying to come back here.
I think they have the ability to do it. They have the skill. INTZ, again, we talked about it before, they're a good team. Just something's going on in their heads right now, preventing them from really stepping to Fontt. However, at the same time, we all know that Fontt is very strong as a squad. A lot of people would argue probably one of the better teams coming out of the Latin American region. So it's still a domineering performance coming from them.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give props to Team Fontt. Again, this is the squad that made it all the way to the 6th Invitational in February. They made it to the semifinals.
Yeah, they had a great performance.
They played, I think they beat Era Eternity. No, they did not beat Era Eternity. They beat one of the teams there in the 6th Invitational, get themselves into the semis, and then ultimately they lost to Continuum.
Yeah.
But Continuum went on to win it.
Wow, what a shot there by Gohan onto FK to start things off for Fontt. It's looking like it's going to be their final round here on this map, in this series. But there's still potential for INTZ to make the comeback happen, as Fontt has yet to clear out this top floor. GCR is going to be playing inside that main hallway, and Astro's just looking for the opportunities. Lend with a nice C4 kill onto Moringa. That's a nice refrag for INTZ. They really did need that. It's also going to be the Habana. So half of the wall destructibility for reinforcements are going to be off the board.
Some window shots are going to come through and land under the right shoulder of Len. He's now just huddled in between the boxes of Archives. He gets taken out by Sledge. That's going to be Mav picking up the kill there, picking up the frag. A 3-on-4 now. Mav's going to hop on top of the drone as Ninja gets a trade onto Gohan. That's Ass getting taken out of commission now with 3-on-3. Still a little bit of time here, about over a third left. Silence using that 9mm Frost SMG to take out the shots onto Mav. Cameraman, however, has snuck his way into the bomb site. He's going to get the diffuser planted after removing Silence from play. 2-on-2, and the diffuser will get planted. GCR is going to come from the right. We're going to have Ninja come from the left. Shots pre-fired here from GCR will then land under the head of Cameraman. There's only one man left. It's going to be Astro. They need to push on down. He's got to stop Ninja from getting the plant. From getting the destruction. He's going to tag one. Can he tag the other? No, he can't. There's going to be plenty of time here for GCR to destroy the diffuser, and the 10-0 flawless win has not gone under wraps. We are going to have INTZ securing one round at least in this series.
And that was the first round in this entire match that we have seen a definitive, like, that INTZ actually tried to fight back in this match. They got, and I think you could really just chalk it up entirely to the fact that INTZ kept going for those refrags, and they got them. And a nice clutch there at the end from GCR to bring it back. Also, overall, the Fontt attack was kind of lackluster. I mean, hey, let's take control over top square stairs and then just push our way into Archives. That is very dangerous. It's very single. It's just one direction you're pushing in there, and you're not clearing out the roam game whatsoever.
It looked a little sloppy, I think, from Team Fontt. Less coordinated than we've seen in the past 9 rounds. And it shows. I mean, INTZ picked up the round there. And although, albeit it did come down to a 1-on-1 diffuser planter, or 2-on-1, however you want to call it. But still, I feel as though there was a little lacking there. Something lacking from Team Fontt on that last round.
I feel like they're getting just a little bit too cocky, understanding that they are in a significant lead. Such a significant lead that they really don't have to think at all about winning these rounds, to be honest.
Maybe cocky wouldn't be the rest. I think comfortable. Kind of, they're getting complacent in some
sense. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good word to use to describe where they are right now. But I'm sure after that loss, they're going to be stepping it up here. They are going to be defending the Archives, I believe that is, and putting a lot of focus here on the CEO, trying to defend this top floor, delay that vertical game coming from INTZ. There is no Buck or Sledge on the INTZ attack. If there are breaching charges from FK on that Twitch, then it shouldn't matter too much, but that's still a lot of destruction that they're forfeiting there on that soft floor.
And it also takes a lot more time as well as he places breaching charges.
Yeah,
as opposed to just whipping
it's also
out the
risky
hammer.
Because of the C4 potential.
Yep.
If there are cameras in that CEO office, then we will have Mav rotate downstairs at C4 from below, or he could just C4 from the storage room, which he is staying in right now. Interesting that that mirror window has been opened up. That might have actually been from FK using his prep phase Twitch drone to open it up early in the round, which actually will play a little bit against Fontt on their roam game upstairs. But the thing about that mirror window, we talked about this earlier, is if your mirror window gets opened up and it's not on a crucial part to hold the site, just fall off of it. It's fine. It's no big deal. Silence going to get the first kill of the round onto Astro. That is a huge player to have gone for Fontt. INTZ has got to be feeling very confident about this round now, having him off the board.
And now Silence did walk away from that engagement, limping away. He's got about 3, 4, maybe 5 health left, so 1 bullet will take him out. But I mean, you still have a gun in hand, you still got bullets in your weapon. You still got the kill potential, unlike Astro.
Fontt also has that C4 playing on mute, and he's going to be waiting for that vertical C4 using those cameras. We are seeing Mav trying to, he's stressing a little bit about that stock room take that we are seeing INTZ push on in through. FK is going to be the player to try and take out that Valkyrie.
So FK's here outside of the stock room in by the soda machine hallway. He does have Mav on one side, but he's not even going to get across there because Moringa whipped out the SMG-11 to finish off FK. 4 on 4 now, getting the trade there from Astro, which was previously taken out. 45 seconds to go. Ooh, Moringa gets a shot, almost landing onto the side there of Ninja. However, Mav's going to try to challenge this as well. He will be taken out there. Ninja's come sweeping around. The trade comes down. Moringa walks away successfully in that engagement. A 3 on 2 now with 30 seconds left. Cameraman holding a right angle, a 90-degree angle here as Silence is just huddled inside of the office. Again, 1 bullet from this Vector will finish him off.
Yeah, one of the highest rate of fire SMGs in the game, going up against Silence on 1 HP. GCR, meanwhile, going to be that backup player. With 15 seconds left to go, they need to make this push. Silence going to get taken out by the C4. It's all down to GCR. Now in a 1 versus 2 as he takes out Cameraman. A good start there. The Claymore will take out Moringa, but no! Gohan locks out GCR, and it will be Fontt walking away with a 5-1 victory and 2 maps to 0 in this best of 3.
There we have it. That is going to be Team Fontt securing the first Latin American Pro League LAN spot. And job well done. A 10-1 victory over their opponents of INTZ Gaming. And just well deserved. I mean, they were at the top of their game today, just falling short 1 round from having that flawless 10-0.